Good morning, dear students. We are meeting once again this morning for geography. We are just changing the part of geography. We are now doing paper 4, that's the geographical investigation, whereby we are doing much on the alternative to coursework. We will study the alternative to coursework. The alternative to coursework in this case, we are going to focus much on this paper 4. The coursework in this case is just an investigation which is based on human geography at the same time the physical geography, or the two can be taken as a combination. This investigation deals much with the assignment which is within the syllabus. It deals with inquiries which are expressed in the following phases. The investigation is an inquiry in this case which is based in the following. For example, it deals much with the identification of an issue or a problem or a question. As you are trying to investigate something, there is an identification of which you want. That identification of an issue of which you want, you are there to raise from an issue, from a question, or a problem. After that identification, I've identified here is a problem. For example, why one sand silo retains water? You can say in that way. We should say in that way. Now, we can see that there is a problem. You have seen why this soil is so fertile. The fertility of the soil of which you see is an identification, is a problem of which you have seen. You need to identify that problem. This problem is a question of which you are asking. Why? The word why is a question. It is an issue which has been brought into attention for one to look into. That is the reason we are to identify. After the identification of this problem, for example, why the soil itself is fertile, you define the objective of the study. Why are you trying to study? Why do you want to study the fertility of the soil? What is the aim? As you are studying, after identifying the objectives of that particular study, it's whereby you have to see the collection of data. You collect the data in this case. There is a collection of data. The data which you go there, you collect it. But as you are collecting, there is need, you don't, after collecting the data, you need to select the data and correlate the data. You need to analyze the data. After analyzing the data, I've seen the data, these are the has got the common characteristics, common areas. After that, you need to present them for you to record the results. For the result to be recorded, the data has to be analyzed and presented. We need to represent the data for the results to be recorded. At the same time, further to this, we draw the final conclusion. After this has been done, the investigation has been taken, everything, the identification, you are going to draw the final conclusion. The conclusion here is the one which is going to suggest or to give further analysis or further usage to the people who requested for the investigation. In this case, under paper 4 IGC, it is an investigation, but most of the work is being done. You're just being delegated, you've just been given an assignment of whatever one has already corrected, has done everything. You're just going to be asked. In so doing, let us be analyzing each and every topic among the 7. Let us see the identification. This identification, I've already said, we can identify a problem, we can identify an issue, or even a question itself can be unidentified. This identification can be done to a problem and issue. This is an identification introduction of our investigation. Our investigation at an introductory stage is the one which we need to investigate. There is an identification. You need to investigate, you need to identify what is this problem. Now, for you to identify that particular problem, there is need for an identification. In this case, under the identification, the topic is defined, and the definition of this problem can be done through observation, discussion, or research from previous studies. You have conducted the research from previous studies. You need to analyze them. You need to discuss. You can observe all these things. For example, the problem which you analyze, you need to observe why these things are happening. You go closer to it. You can discuss with your friends. You need to observe what is happening, why this soil is always wet. Try to put it into your hand. You observe it for you to identify. At the same time, many geographical investigations start with a hypothesis. Most of the geographical investigations start with a hypothesis, a problem, an area of which you need to investigate. That area, that problem which has brought your attention for you to investigate. This is the one which is called a hypothesis. In regard, the hypothesis is used to test issues, questions, on anything which is under being tested. Therefore, a hypothesis is being defined as the issue which is being intended to be tested. An issue which one intends to test. This is a hypothesis. A hypothesis in this case is an issue which one intends to test. Now, as you are setting the hypothesis, for example, we have got a question, we have got an issue of which we have got a problem, we have got a suggestion of which you need to identify. Before setting a hypothesis, one has to establish the confidence and understanding of the topic. The thing of which you're investigating, please understand it. Please establish confidence in that. Are you really, do you know the soil of which you are talking about? Is it really true that the soil is always wet? Is it really true that the soil retains water? Is it really true that the soil itself is full of fertile? Or is full of nutrients? The first thing for you to establish a hypothesis, in this case, you need to be knowledgeable enough. You need to understand your topic. You need to understand your issue. You need to understand your problem. For example, examples of hypothesis are, let us say one, population density is higher in inner urban areas than in the suburb. For example, population density is higher in the urban areas than in the rural areas. You can believe me that this is really true. You know for sure that the population is higher in the urban area. You know what the population is about. You cannot even identify this problem without knowing the meaning of the word population density. You need to know what is an urban, what is the suburb, what is population density. These three terms are the ones which are leading you to an investigation, to an identification. You cannot identify this problem if you don't know what the population density is about, if you don't know the meaning of higher, if you don't know the meaning of urban, if you don't know the meaning of suburb, it means you are not knowledgeable enough with this question. Therefore, you cannot manage to study. Therefore, for you to investigate much into this, you need firstly to understand the logic or the topic itself of which you are studying. Another topic, for example, an average temperature in urban area are higher than in the surrounding rural areas. For example, the temperatures in the urban areas, they are higher. Why are these? The first thing you need to appreciate, is it really true that the temperatures in the urban areas in this case are higher? Is it really true that the temperatures in the urban areas, they are higher? If the answer is yes or no. If the answer is yes, it means you know the topic. Therefore, you can investigate it. But if the answer is no, you don't know the topic. The first thing you need to take is the topic of which you know, the problem which you know. Because you cannot investigate, you cannot analyze the problem of which you don't know. It can't happen. These are some of the examples of hypothesis. These are the problems, these are the areas, these are the issues of which they're supposed to be investigated. These are some of the issues of which they're supposed to be investigated. These are the ones which are regarded as, that is to say, hypothesis. These are the hypothesis factors of which they are supposed to be investigated. This is the one which is dealing much with what is regarded as, that is to say, hypothesis. At the same time, you should know that each hypothesis should describe what is expected to be found. Under each hypothesis, in this case, you should be able to know what are you going to find, or what are you going to find. Why is this study, for example, population density is higher in inner urban areas than in the rural? What are you going to find? What do you think? The reason is why. In that why, what are you trying to find? It should justify the geographical location of your study. As you're just talking urban area, which area are you taking? Are you just talking of one area? But in this case, you should be able to explain, the area to which yourself is studying. Why? Which area are you studying? Which area are you studying? Which area are you taking? You will need to take this into consideration. Don't just say that a hypothesis should be defined according to the objectives, according to the area of which one is taking, for one to understand, for you to define the investigation properly and the identification properly. Now, this is part of the hypothesis as a problem. Now, next lesson of which we are going to meet, we are again going to study the objectives of this hypothesis. We are going to see the objectives. We are going to study the objectives of this. Now, what are the objectives? For example, the content is being defined. This is the area whereby we are defining the reasons for an investigation. Why are we investigation? What data are we collecting? How is it important? How is it relevant? How is it going to be collected? What are the stages of which we are going to follow? Who is going to be involved in this? And why have we taken that particular person to be involved? These are the stages of which we need to take. At this regard, allow me to leave you in safe hands as you are attending for other lessons. Thank you so much. I appreciate for your attention. Thank you.